have all this money now and no
Tools.
dress. Not that I expect you to help me, but I have all of this, okay? I have to buy a
Tools.
dress for dinner tonight.
Okay, I get it. You got a fistful of cash, you're anxious to buy your first set of window cleaning tools, but there's so many choices out there. How do you choose wisely? Welcome to episode 2, Window Cleaning Reality Check. Today we're going to be talking about the two main types of traditional window cleaning tools that you're going to find in every kit. Obviously it's the T-bar scrubber and a squeegee. Now if you've taken a look at any of the recent videos on YouTube, you've probably seen more videos for the fancy new tools out there, those combination tools. They do all kinds of things. They squeegee, scrub all with the same tool. They pivot, they have different angles that you can set it up to. That's all fine and dandy, but these are very advanced tools. They don't really clean any better than the basics. And not only that, if you started off with one of those tools, you're gonna get frustrated very fast. So I'm gonna show you today all the popular squeegees and scrubbers that go out my door on a daily basis. They are the old tried and trues. Many of them have been existing for decades. They're tried and true for a reason. They just work right out of the box. Okay, now assuming a customer came into my store or called me on the phone, they said, listen, I need to get set up with good quality squeegee and scrubber. I'm setting up a new business, or I'm setting up a new employee. I just want something that's really good quality. Well, everything that I carry and everything that most of the main window cleaning suppliers carry is perfectly capable of doing an expert job. It really comes down to the user and the condition of the tool. What you're always going to be looking for is that the squeegee channel is nice and straight, there's no bends on it at all, and the squeegee rubber that you're using is pretty fresh, still has that nice sharp rubber edge. Everything else really just comes down to technique. Provided there's no extra staining or anything, hard water stains or any hard to remove debris, it really just comes down to having a good quality tool, which, like I said, most window cleaner suppliers, doesn't matter if it's just a basic brass squeegee or any of the fancy squeegees, as long as it's in good quality, good shape, you're gonna get a great job. But what I actually recommend to anybody who comes in is I'll recommend one of two different types of quick release squeegees. Because you see, a brass squeegee will do an expert job, but the basic brass squeegee isn't a quick release squeegee. It's with screws and nuts on there. Once you set it up, it's really a pain if you want to switch out different size channels. You might want to put in a little 6-inch for doing French panes, or you might want to do a big wider one because you've got a lot of big doors to do. So, like I said, I like to push people towards the quick release. The two most popular quick releases that I do sell, which is the Younger Ergotech. This is what I used right from 2007, and I still use it today. In actual fact, here is my very own. This one's been going since 2009. It looks almost brand new. That's because these things are indestructible. Provided you don't run over them with a car or you don't lose them, there's absolutely no reason why you'd have to keep buying these over and over again. Really hold up. The other one is the Ettore Pro Grip handle. Now, once in a while, if a customer tells me they're going to be doing a mix of commercial and residential, what I might actually swap it out to is the Squeegees handle. The only reason why is because if they're going to be doing any kind of commercial work, for sure they're going to be using a pole, and having this little extended head over here helps for getting over ledges, as opposed to this one here, which is much shorter. You can see that there. But like I said, quick release is the way to go. Basic straight handle. On the Ettore, simply a case of flipping that up. You can take your 12-inch if you got that there, and if you needed a smaller squeegee, you would just slip that in there. Or a bigger one, like I said. With the Younger Ergotech, it's simply spring-loaded. There we go. Except on the Younger, you have these little notches in the channel. The reason why that is because the Younger channels, the stainless steel S channels as they're called, they don't have any clips to hold the rubber. So it's actually the handle that holds both the channel and the rubber in place. This is actually the one that I prefer myself. I hate dealing with pesky clips. And if anybody else who's new to the industry, they might not be used to the idea of having to fiddle around with brass clips like you get on the brass squeegees. Not only that, what I find is that when window cleaners use a tool like the Younger Ergotech, they're more likely to change the rubber more often because it's so much easier. I have guys who come into my store all the time and they'll bring in their brass squeegees and they're like, oh, they're not cleaning as well as they used to. And I take a look and I say, well, of course, you got to change that rubber over. They haven't even flipped it over to the other side yet because, you know, every rubber has two sides to use, the front and the back. But, you know, they're not used to dealing with pesky clips. So that's the only drawback really with the brass squeegees. The only other thing that I might suggest is if they are going to be doing any pole work, they may have times when they can't get straight up in front of the window, so they have to use a swivel type squeegee. Okay, so sticking with the same two brands, Unger and Ettore, they both have very popular swivel style squeegees. Now, these aren't swivel or pivoting type squeegees like you're seeing in a lot of more recent YouTube videos, where the pivot is actually set very loose and people are flying around doing all these fancy moves with them. No, these particular squeegees are meant to be set up in such a way that there is tension on the pivoting so that once you put it into a particular angle, it stays at that angle. And both of these have different types of adjusters to, you know, you can have a little bit tighter, a little bit looser, depending on your preference. First of all, we're going to take a look at the Ettore Super System handle. To adjust the tension on that pivot, you have a screw here, which you can use, you can use a flathead screwdriver or you can use a Phillips screwdriver on there. Usually the way it comes set up from the factory is sufficient for most people. And like I said, if you're going to be doing any kind of pole work where you can't get straight on in front of the glass and you have to hit it at a particular angle, you're going to pre-adjust that angle and before you go up there with your pole and then squeegee straight down. So you're pretty much just doing straight pulls with these types of squeegees. Like I said, you're not doing the fancy stuff that you're seeing with the other Mormon or wagtail type tools. With the Unger, it's called the Swivel lock, and it has a couple of features on here. One is for the tension of the pivot, it has this dial here, so you can have it kind of like really loose if you wanted to. But most people have a little bit of tension on there. So again, like I said, you can preset that angle before doing your pole work. And if you want to keep this particular one straight, it actually has a knob on here, or a little button that you just push in, and now this won't pivot at all. So there we have the Ettore Super System handle and the Unger Swivel lock. There's one last type of squeegee that I do want to show you. Now, if you're just starting out and you're not sure what kind of window cleaning you're going to be doing long term, you might want to go with residential window cleaning, or you might want to do a little mix of residential, commercial. If you do plan to go more towards the commercial side and you're doing a lot of storefronts, a lot of bigger type windows, car dealerships, that kind of thing, you're definitely going to want to look into a wide body squeegee. Now, one of the most popular wide body squeegees is known as the Sorbo. And why do they call it a wide body squeegee? Well, if you take a look at the squeegee channel in comparison to a standard squeegee channel, you can see that these are a lot wider, a lot thicker, they're more robust. These are squeegees that are, you know, well capable of going up to 36, even 40-inch wide. And why would you want something like that? Well, like I said, if you're doing car dealerships or any kind of big storefront windows, you want to be covering a lot of glass in each pass. Otherwise, you know, if you go there with a little 12-inch, you're going to be there forever. And also, smaller standard size squeegee channels usually only go up to about 22 inches. If you try to go any wider than that, and you have to put a little bit of pressure on the glass, the channel, because they're a lot thinner, they're going to have a tendency to flex, and you're not going to get a nice, even pull across the glass. So if you got these ones here, like I said, they can go up pretty wide, and you can put a lot of pressure on the glass when needed. And why would you want to put a lot of pressure on the glass? Well, if you take a look at any piece of glass, visually you're probably thinking it's pretty flat. But it's been in my experience, at least, especially when I was doing a car dealership, that glass is actually quite wavy. And sometimes you have to press a little bit harder in order to close that gap in that little bit of a wave. So once again, the Sorbo is a very popular one. Another one that's quite popular from Unger is the Ninja. We sell a lot of these. And incidentally, even though I'm showing you two different brands, squeegees, this particular handle, the Unger Ninja handle, nice quick release handle, is actually quite popular for use with Sorbo channels as well. Because the size profile is quite similar, both being wide body channels, the Ninja is very easy to use, nice quick release. Just like the swivel lock, it does have a little push button, so you can either have it as a pivoting or as a straight squeegee. However, to adjust the tension of the pivot on this, it would just be a flathead screwdriver, or even like a coin in your pocket, like a quarter or something. So I think we've covered all the most popular, works right out of the box kind of squeegee handles and squeegee channels. Next, we're going to talk about the other most, just as equally important part of the window cleaning kit, which is your T-bar handles and scrubbers. So just like the squeegee handles we were looking at earlier, T-bar handles come in two varieties: straight, non-pivoting, and pivoting handles. And just like the other squeegees that we were showing you too, Unger and Ettore, pretty much the most popular brands of T-bar handles that we carry. Not the only brands we carry, but these are the ones that are going out the door on a daily basis. We have the Unger Ergotech and the Ettore Pro Grip. You really can't go wrong with whatever brand you choose. Even a generic brand or cheap brand like Pulex, it's going to do the job, especially in the smaller sizes. Now all of these come in 10-inch, 14-inch, and 18-inch in size. If you're looking at the swivel ones, the Ettore comes in 10, 14-inch, 18-inch, and 22-inch, whereas the Unger Ninja Swivel comes in 10, 14, 18, 22, and even 30 inches. So that's pretty handy. And on the Unger swivel, you got a lock to keep it in the straight position, although I don't personally like to use that, and I know many other people kind of wish they didn't have this lock, because when it is in the out position, it does get kind of in your way for your hand. But other than that, you really can't go wrong between either of these two. And again, just like we were talking about with the squeegees, whenever you want to hit up a window at an awkward angle, or just, you don't want to do so much bending, that's when you would go for a swivel T-bar versus just a straight one. The more important aspect of this T-bar scrubber though are the actual scrubber sleeves. And I'm going to show you some of the more popular ones we have. Again, these are products that are the tried and true washer sleeves, existing, for at least, in some cases, decades. First one, and it's also the cheapest one, very popular in our store, is the Pulex Micro Tiger sleeve. It's a combination of soft microfiber as well as these scrub strips, these red scrub strips. Now, if you've ever seen a washer sleeve, you'll notice that on many of them they have this little end piece here. This is for, like, if you got bird droppings, you can turn your scrubber on this, on the sideways, and then kind of rub out the bird droppings that way. That's the same kind of material that is used in these red scrub strips. So this is very good for general all-purpose cleaning as well as very dirty windows. The only drawback to this particular washer sleeve compared to some of the other ones I'm going to show you is that because it doesn't have as much microfiber as some of the other sleeves, it doesn't last as long. It's, using it daily, you probably get about 6 months out of it before you're going to need to replace it. But they're also the cheaper sleeves that we carry, so it's not going to cost you a lot to replace it. The next up is a very all-purpose sleeve. It doesn't have any extra scrub strips other than that little end piece. But this is a good sleeve that holds a pretty decent amount of water. Great for residential work, working inside, because it doesn't drip a whole lot. Holds water, but it doesn't drip that much. This is really what you're looking for residential. This was actually my very first washer sleeve that I used as a window cleaner. And I don't know how many sleeves I tried after that. And I kept coming back to this because it just works. It's a very good quality microfiber. You might see this and you might see the Ettore Golden Glove. And you're thinking, well, they're both microfibers. How come there's a big price difference? It really comes down to the quality of the microfiber. Next up, we're going to have the other very popular one. This one from Unger. This is the Monsoon. They call it the Monsoon because it's a very good soaker sleeve. Very good for using on outside windows when it's very hot out, when you've got the sun beaming down. And if you take a look at the fibers, they're actually quite long. One of the issues that I have with this particular sleeve is if you're going to use it on the inside, I wouldn't recommend it for the inside of a house, especially if they have really nice floors, expensive carpet and whatnot, because they do drip a lot. I call this the outdoor soaker sleeve. And if you want something similar to this quality that's not going to drip so much, then you have the Unger Ninja sleeve. Now it does have some of those long fibers, just like the Monsoon, but it also has shorter fibers, which are a little bit more dense. So it's not quite as much of a drippy sleeve as the Monsoon, but it also has another feature that I don't think I've ever heard Unger talk about, but I find that it rings true, and many of my customers who like this sleeve will tell you the same thing. Now, on the Monsoon, you have this little scrubber piece on the end, and on this side, you don't. What happens with this particular sleeve is the T-bar, after a time, when this starts to wear out, can actually poke through the stitching. Well, with the Unger Ninja sleeve, you've got this little extra scrub thing on both sides. And what that means is you've got extra stitching, extra reinforcements on both sides. So you're less likely to get a T-bar poking through on these two. So once again, these are the 4 main popular washer sleeves. These are the go-to sleeves that are going out the door on a daily basis pretty much here at the window cleaning store. And you can check in with your supplier too if you've got a different supplier. Ask them what are the popular ones. And I'm pretty sure that these 4 are always going to come up in conversation. Yeah, I know you've probably seen some reviews for some other types of sleeves, specialty sleeves out there from some other companies. Some of them are just as good or quite similar to these, but these are definitely your first go-to. Okay, so there you have it. For the newbies out there, you can take all that money you've been saving up to starting a window cleaning business and make some very smart, wise investments in tools. You don't want to go too fancy at the beginning, you just want the basics, but you want good quality tools, just like we've shown you here today. And for the veterans, maybe you've got some other different tools that you really fallen in love with the last couple of years, but hopefully this video was also a reminder to you that the tools that you had started off with 10, 20, 30 years ago, they're still as good and relevant today as they were back then. Anyway, thanks for watching episode number 2. Stay tuned until next time. Bye for now.